Welcome to the Athlete Brand Advisor Podcast, featuring advice and interviews about athlete branding. Learn how marketing, public relations, and broadcasting can grow your brand. We also have special episodes to talk about recent news, events, and anything in the world of sports. The podcast is sponsored by Pliable, a versatile marketing, PR, and broadcasting company that identifies opportunities and creates tailored content for its clients. Now it's time to roll. Here's your host, Greg Glenn.
Thanks, and welcome to the Athlete Brand Advisor Podcast. If you're looking for insights and advice on athlete branding, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about the transition. And when we talk about the transition for athletes, that means from your playing days to something else. And we see this a lot with athlete development, especially for college athletes who may be done with their playing career. And of course, professional athletes who then go on to retire. They're thinking about what are they going to do next. So no one better I can think of than my good friend Drew Miller, who will join us today on the podcast. Drew is a Stanley Cup champion, a former NHL player for the Anaheim Ducks, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Detroit Red Wings. We spent a lot of time together when he was in Portland with the Portland Pirates in the American Hockey League from 2005 to 2008. He also went to Michigan State University. He is Drew Miller. Drew, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So, Drew, let's talk about growing up in a hockey family. You had 10 members of your family play at a very high level, one of which is, of course, Ryan Miller, the all-time winningest American goalie. Can you talk about your relationship with your brother?
Yeah, with having my brother, it was someone that basically was there for me. He was a sounding board. He was someone I could talk to about playing the game of hockey and just about life and being a best friend. But he was someone that was basically living my future before me. And that was something that really helped me be successful was, hey, I'm going to go into junior hockey. Well, he's already been playing it for 2 years. So I got to watch him and be around it, visiting him in Sault Ste. Marie when he was playing there for the Sioux Indians and watching him and just seeing what it took to play junior hockey. And then fast forward to college at Michigan State, I was playing junior hockey in the same city essentially as him. So I got to see him be a student athlete. I got to see him be successful as a hockey player and what it took for him to train in the summer and be successful in college and be around it and kind of that was the atmosphere and the life I was in, the kind of the bubble, the hockey bubble. And then he turned pro and I was at Michigan State and I got to watch him be successful as a pro, which is a lot different than college sports. You kind of come out of that bubble, the college bubble, and now it's real life. And you are your own asset and it's a real job and you have to perform and there's consequences if you don't. So I got to watch him go through that process and learn a lot before I went into it. And then when we were playing against each other, it was and playing pro at the same time, it was great to have someone that's going through the same thing in life and be able to talk to them about anything just because your other friends or family are not really going through it and understand what the pressures or the ins and outs of it. So it was great to have someone so close like my brother to kind of go through all that and then to be there doing it at the same time together. So it was great. I think our relationship does go a lot beyond hockey. And now that he just retired and hopefully we get through this pandemic soon, that we can start seeing each other a lot more and enjoying life after hockey.
It had to be interesting, Drew, from a branding perspective, to grow up with Ryan as your brother, knowing that he was so successful. And what are some of the things that you thought about during your career when you had to try and build your own athlete brand?
Yeah, so I think that was like one of the biggest things going into Michigan State was, well, how are you going to live up to the Miller name, being the 10th person in my family to play hockey there? And your brother just won the Hobey Baker Award, the Heisman of hockey, and how are you going to live up to that? And I said, well, luckily he's a goalie and I'm a forward, so I don't have to worry about that. But I think just building my own name and really appreciating where the Miller name, but trying to come in there and be Drew and really establish my history and a name for myself and a reputation for just Drew, not just as a Miller. And hopefully I would be, in doing that, would live up to carrying on the Miller name and make the Spartan brand just that little bit much better, just by my individual success and also our team success when I was there. But yeah, no, I definitely, my career going from juniors in Lansing to my third year in Omaha, having a great experience there, to come back to East Lansing and play 3 years at Michigan State. Toughest decision in my life was to leave early. I really didn't want to. I wanted to stay 4 years and really be a Spartan as long as I could. And Anaheim had different plans, and they basically were like, nope, you're coming to turn pro. And I said, okay, I guess I will. And I'm glad I did, because my first year pro, I played the whole year in Portland. I got called up and won the Stanley Cup with the Ducks in 2007. And just that really springboarded my career. And like I said, it's not about getting from point A to point B. It's everything in between, and the ride it was. And it definitely was a ride. I think I got called up and sent down like 9 times in 2 years. I remember that. Yeah. I mean, you'd be at the grocery store with a cart full of food with my wife in Portland, Maine, and they called me like, oh, you got a flight in 2 hours, you're getting called up. And I'm like, well, what do I do with my food? And I just kind of left it there and left and went to the airport. So there's a lot of crazy stories along the way, but what a ride it was. And I'm so appreciative of the people I've met. I mean, Greg, we met way back in the day, and here we are again, coming full circle around. And these are the type of things I think are so cool about playing pro sports, and the people you meet, and you just never really know where everything's going to take you. But you met a lot of good people along the way, and your paths will cross again at some point.
One thing we talk a lot about with athletes, Drew, is the transition out of sports. It's obviously one thing to be playing sports. You get into routine and habits during your career. But then when you retire or when you transition out of sports, that can be really hard for an athlete. And I wanted to talk with you about that transition, and now how you've got into the insurance world, and how people can understand what that transition was like and how you made the most of it.
Yeah. So for me, I think the biggest thing is being able to transition out of one thing and then move into another. And for me, it was all about having a starting point. That's how I found the most simplistic way to think about it was, okay, well, how am I going to be successful with insurance? Well, I have to have a starting point. Well, what's my starting point? Well, I have had success with hockey. You want to call it a PhD, doctorate, whatever. I played it for my whole entire life. And then in pros, I played it for 12 years pro. I got to the point where you live and breathe it that long, the ins and outs, and you've changed and tweaked your routines and your habits to become your everyday life so much that success can transfer. And I had to find a way that I could transfer it. And I still think my mentality is still a hockey mentality. My office my locker room is now my office, and my teammates are still teammates. They're just we're not going on the ice together to play hockey. So a lot of my mentality is still treating things as a hockey situation, but just really transitioning a lot of what made me successful at hockey into insurance. And yeah, insurance has been great. I've been doing it for just over 3 years now. I really do enjoy the relationship side of things. I think that's one thing that in pro hockey that maybe the normal fan or everyday fan might not see. Everything that we're doing behind the scenes with season ticket holder stuff, a lot of charity work, going to visit the children's hospitals, different things like that I really enjoyed doing. I enjoyed the relationships that I developed, and I like talking to people. I like helping people. And I think that's a lot of what insurance is all about. And the one thing that I really try to do, like I did in hockey, is separate myself from the competition. And I think that that's a healthy competition thing to do, is really find an edge or a way to say, hey, I bring this where the other guy doesn't. And that's, I think, how you grow and be successful. Or at least that's what's been worked for me. So I try to bring value to my clients and really separate myself from other options out there. And I think that the biggest way I start to do that is really just follow through on what I say. And I think that a lot of people out there tell you a lot of what they want to do and how they're going to do it, and then they just don't do it for you. So I try to make it very simple that I'm going to follow through for my clients and really make sure that they're in the best situation to ensure and make sure that the assets they work so hard for are protected.
One thing we talk about on the podcast a lot, Drew, is the athlete brand itself. As an athlete, you certainly have proven the dedication, the work ethic, and that's a lot of things and traits that employers are looking for. And so as an athlete, you kind of already have that leg up because, especially when you've played for so long, obviously you've got this reputation. But what do you think is the biggest challenge with this transition out of sports?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that the biggest thing, the guys I've talked to, is they're scared because their world is ending, their hockey world is ending, and their routines and their schedule and their they have their season, then they have their off season, and they have ramping up to the training camp. Like that's not just a date on the calendar. I mean, you feel that within your body, and your body has internal clock, and it knows when it needs to ramp up, and that takes some time to change. And it's also a mentality. You do something for so long, and then all of a sudden it's done. So I think the biggest thing, my advice for someone going through that, is accept it, understand that there's going to be some ups and downs, and that's okay. But if you get a plan in place, you stick to it, and you start working at it, and then you find something that you have some passion for, and you start working to be successful at that, over time, things are going to kind of fall into place for you, and you stick with it, and the transition will continue to happen. But like I've kept on saying, you got to have a starting point. You got to get yourself to that point to really accept it, move forward, and go on. But I think that some other great advice, I think, for someone that has the opportunity, a high school or a college athlete, to build your brand in a way that you are set up for that next transition out of sports. And I think that presence on social media, presence online, doing podcasts with different people, getting your name out there is a really good start. And I think that working with a good team, I think that high schoolers and college people really rely on your parents. And then you have a few other ones out there that you eventually will have that are part of your team. And I think, like Greg, like yourself, having someone like you that can come in and really give them that advice that their parents might not know much about, but you're going to help them build their brand, build their presence to get recruited, their presence to make money, whatever it is that you're helping them build their brand for. It's going to help them be successful and get them where they want to be quicker.
We always want to help our loyal listeners get in touch with people that come on the podcast. Drew, you've shared some amazing insights here today. How can people get in touch with you?
So I have Drew Miller, KIG.com is an easy way to go on there, and you can kind of go through. It's just my personal landing page, email, phone numbers on there. You can go on the www.getkig.com is getkig.com. That's my agency's website. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook as Drew Miller Insurance. So I do insurance nationwide, not just in Michigan. So I'm all over. I'm actually working with someone in Portland, Maine right now too. So So we had some laughs about rivalries and some of the locations and bars and restaurants and all that kind of stuff in Portland. So it was fun.
And lastly, Drew, I just want to say to you and also have our loyal listeners hear this, but I remember the days that we spent in Portland, and we were both actually, interestingly enough, in the younger days of our career at the time, and I don't think I had perspective when I was there because I had just been getting into the business. But when it comes to professional athletes, you were one of the athletes that was always willing to do a community appearance. You were willing to do a media interview. You were willing to go to the local supermarket and sign autographs. You were one of the first ones in line to sign up for going to the Barbara Bush Children's Hospital in Portland. And that really showed me who you are as a person. And it's not often that you get to see that with an athlete and that becomes part of their brand. But that's clearly part of your brand, who you were then, and it's who you are now. I can tell you really genuinely care about people, and it gives me goosebumps just to even think back to our time in Portland and the fun that we had and the impact that we had on many different children and people. And I want to personally thank you for that because you are an amazing athlete, but also an amazing person.
Thanks. I think that's something that these young athletes can do, really build their brand off the ice to be successful on the field, on the ice, on the court, whatever sport they're doing. Just really have a game plan and like we talked about, tweak it, change it, evolve, and really just it's all about the effort.
Thanks for listening to the Athlete Brand Advisor Podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes from today's episode and catch up on recent episodes at pliablemarketing.com. We also encourage you to share topics and guest ideas by emailing our production staff at pliablemarketing@gmail.com. We love hearing from our loyal listeners and athletes who want to grow their brand. So jump in and be part of the podcast because that's how we roll.